Local and live, covering Franklin and Washington counties, it's Let's Talk TriState with Tiny and Katie.
Welcome back to Let's Talk TriState, all powered by HomeRight Windows and Doors in Waynesboro, the right choice winner in the 2024 Best of the TriState. Our next guest today, we have Jeannie Asbury, the Executive Director from Reach of Washington County. First, thank you so much for taking time to be on the show and talk to us about your upcoming event that you guys have.
Oh, well, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
And so, Reach of Washington County, that is not a company I'm totally familiar with. So just walk us through, for anyone who's unfamiliar, what's the mission and the goal?
Wonderful. So Reach of Washington County is a nonprofit. We're getting ready to celebrate our 35th year.
Wow.
And it started when a group of people from different houses of faith came together and said there's a need. So it started, we're most known for our cold weather shelter, which is seasonal, which is the main focus of this event.
Okay.
But we also have year-round programs, a drop-in center for people to get out of the weather, hot or cold, get their mail, use the bathroom, get connected to whatever resources they need. We have case managers that work with the homeless. There's not one-size-fits-all solution to connect them to employment, housing, mental health services. We have a program to prevent homelessness. So eviction prevention, utility shut-off, IDs and birth certificates. You need a birth certificate with real ID now to get everything. And you need an ID to get housing, employment. So we help with those things. That's also year-round. And then our newest program, Bridge to Change, started in 2019. We pay the homeless to pick up trash, but they're learning soft skills. You show up to work, you're part of a team.
Accountability.
You can do it, building up that stamina to move on to workforce development or employment.
And you said that there's a shelter, a seasonal shelter that you have. Is that
Yes.
in Washington County?
Yes, so Reach is cold weather shelters in Washington County, right at downtown.
Okay.
And it's a low barrier shelter for adult men and women. So we'll take anyone as long as they behave, they follow the rules. So we have some that might be addicted or have a mental illness. What we're seeing now in the last couple of years is a dramatic increase in the elderly and disabled.
Are you seeing an increase with veterans? Do you see that a lot? I know that there's sometimes a correlation between homelessness and disabled veterans.
So every year we do have some. Last year I think we had 10, the year before maybe 14 or 16. So we are seeing actually a reduction in that, but I think that's because of all the wonderful programs.
Yeah.
Yes.
How many people can you house at the shelter?
So typically our capacity is 42, 30 men and 12 women.
Oh my goodness.
Well, let me tell you.
Okay.
So that's typical. So when the cold weather plan takes effect, we can take 6 more, which is 48. Well, because of the extreme temperatures and we've had a lot of elderly and disabled, it's a more chill group and we can safely exceed that. So due to the weather and lack of available space, we've been serving 53 and 54 a night, which we can't sustain long term, but given the extreme temperatures, and given the just the group we have right now, we could safely exceed that.
Would you say you're at capacity at this moment?
Yes.
Okay. And is this a living situation or is it just overnight to get out of the cold? Or do they live there until they're back on their feet?
So because it's seasonal, we run from the last Sunday of October to the first Sunday of April. We don't have a time limit because often with being low barrier, it might take several months for case management to get them connected to housing or do an appeal or to work, start a job and save up. So it just depends. So we don't have time limits, but they're 2 large bays. There's a female bay and a male bay. And for anyone that would maybe not identify either way, we have accommodations in a different area for that. So I don't want to feel like it's only for, but that's typically what we see. And they have to leave during the day. We think it's important to go out and do something productive, get some fresh air. But they have an assigned bed. Those 42 have an assigned bed for the season or as long as they need us.
What about meals? Are they on their own, or individuals on their own for meals, or do you assist with that as well?
So actually, because Reach is truly a community collaboration from the beginning. So every single night of the shelter season, a different group in the community provides a full meal. Most of them are houses of faith. And I say houses of faith because most of them are Christian churches. However, we have the synagogue and the mosque. There's 3 local mosques and they all support the shelter. So that's why I say houses of faith. some small business, large business, or just a group of friends that all serve dinner every night.
Wow. Are you in need of people to provide those meals? I can imagine that gets very difficult.
So it is, it's quite an undertaking. So we have a person, a shelter administrator, who does a great job coordinating all of that. We couldn't run without our volunteers. So we have 12 staff, 5 are seasonal, and 1,200 unduplicated volunteers.
Wow.
So it does take quite,
I just want to make sure I heard that number, 1,200 volunteers.
Yes, unduplicated.
That is
every
unbelievable.
Season, yes.
How did you end up in this role?
So actually, I was in the military, in the Air Force, and then that's where I met my husband, and we were going to have children. We decided we didn't want to be in the military. So that's how we got here. And I was a stay-at-home mom for 10 years, and I went to school with my Montgomery GI Bill to get my degree. And just as I was graduating, my friend at United Way said, Reach is looking for a bookkeeper. So I was doing business and finance, and I was my church treasurer. And so I started out 10 hours a week, part-time, and then as Reach grew, my responsibilities grew. And about a year and a half later, I became the shelter administrator, overseeing those volunteers. And I've been the executive director. It'll be 4 years in May.
I can imagine this work is rewarding, quite rewarding. Is there a particular story that comes to mind, a success story that somebody that you helped that went on to get on their feet and do great things? Is there anything that comes to mind that you could share with us?
Yes. So actually we have story, it can be very rewarding and very heartbreaking.
I'm sure.
You know, free will is the most frustrating. I'll give you 2 examples because they both show the difference. So we had one gentleman who came to us, he took care of his mother and he became homeless. And he was taking care of her, he hadn't worked, he had some mental health. And he worked with case management and got permanent housing, and then he had 3 part-time jobs. Well, then he went on to volunteer at Reach and help, like, sort of give back, and then ultimately joined our board. So that's not everybody does that. Another gentleman had mental illness, and he wouldn't even sleep in the shelter. He'd come in during the day. And then a couple years ago, he came in, but he wouldn't shower. And then, so it was a big win the time he showered, just to take everything off, and he put on his dirty clothes. So then that was small wins, and ultimately after a couple weeks, he would shower, put on clean clothes, went on to case management, accepted case management, and went on to housing. So those are 2 extreme examples.
They are, but still wins both ways. Yeah. Unbelievable. Wow. Do you find that, so I'm assuming there's a list of rules that that have to be followed.
Yes.
Do you do any kind of like random drug testing or anything like that?
So we don't, because we're low barrier.
Okay.
So we don't do anything like that. You have to be able to come in on your own accord safely. So we have had people come in under the influence, and as long as they can care for themselves and come in on their own accord and follow the rules, that won't be a reason to not be with us.
I can imagine that if somebody is finding themselves in a situation, an individual is homeless, and there is a place that is available that they are able to stay and get warm at night, that they would want to follow the rules to continue with that situation. And
most do, and honestly, whatever you did, we've had people that have been to jail, people that are first-time homeless, and everything in between. Most of them are just grateful to have a warm, safe place to sleep and get food in their belly. So we don't have a lot of issues, but we do, because boundaries are love. So we do have boundaries and guidelines.
Of course.
But most follow them, and they're there to get a meal and go to bed.
That's wonderful. Now you have a big event coming up, which is, I know, what we really wanted to focus on today, called the Coldest Night of the Year.
Yes.
What an interesting name. Walk us through what we can expect with this event.
So it's so exciting. This is our 3rd year. So this event started many years ago in Canada, and then it's coming into the United States. It reminds me a little bit of like a Relay for Life type event, and so it's free to participate. And it's the last Saturday of February. So this year it's February 22nd, and it's essentially to walk a mile or 3 in the shoes of someone that doesn't have a warm, safe place to sleep.
At night, is it during the nighttime hours? Or?
So it crosses over, but so for us, it starts, check-ins at 4, the walk starts at 5, so it's dark by the end. And it's just a way for people to walk a mile, raise awareness, learn about resources for the homeless, and then of course to raise funds. But what's neat is it's free to participate, but for those that want to, you can children raise $75 to get a toque, which is what they call a beanie.
Oh, okay.
In Canada, and like even friends in Minnesota. And then adults raise $150 to get a toque. And then there's some competition, they want to raise the most, and because it is a fundraiser.
Yeah, of course.
But ultimately it's inclusive because it doesn't cost anything to participate.
Oh, that's amazing. And I mean, technically you're getting a little exercise too.
Yes.
A mile is nothing to sneeze at. And now, are people able to create teams? Okay.
Yes. And so some people have cute names. Like right now, the number one is the Chili Otters of Otterbein. Otterbein.
The church?
Yes.
Yes.
So they have a whole otter theme. It's so
that's
cute.
so
They're
cute.
the Chili Otters of Otterbein. Some people have done just cute puns of names. Something with frost or cold, and then they create teams, and they can be, a team of 1 or a team of 20, and some make shirts or have Prime Time for Women knitted neat scarves.
Oh, that's
so
a
it's
good
fun
idea.
to see what people do with it.
And you have a big goal for this year, right?
Yes.
Is it 35,000?
Yes, so our goal is 35,000.
Ooh.
Reach is turning 35.
Oh,
Last year we got about 29,000, so we really feel like we could stretch it this year.
yeah, that's a huge number.
Yeah.
Where are you right now on the fundraising?
So right now, the last I looked, I think we're at about 9%,
Okay.
which is normal. So typically the most excitement for this event, that's why we were thrilled to be able to come on the show now. Most of the momentum of this event comes in the last month, which will start about next week. So we'll really see that grow.
And you had some business sponsors that you wanted to make sure that you gave some love to.
Absolutely. So our first rest stop sponsor is Meritus Health, which most people know is our local hospital, and well, beyond just a hospital. And then our first route sponsor is Longmeadow Family Dental Care. So we're very excited this year. We have 2 new media sponsors. So one of which is you guys.
For
which
Standing Media.
Yes.
Very nice.
And then Warehouse Cinemas.
Okay.
So we're very excited about that. And then we have 2, there's other ways to support as well. So our local Sheets provides hot chocolate and cookies. So they're not a financial sponsor, but like our media sponsors, it's a different way.
Yeah, of course.
And then our friends at Chick-fil-A will donate iced tea and lemonade.
And are you looking for soup donations for the event? Did I read that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so the last couple of years we've had different businesses or groups make soup. We like to have about a cup of soup for everyone to come back and warm up back inside. So we're looking for about 20 gallons, and that would be for everybody to have about a 12 ounce. And it doesn't have to be one group. So we'd love to have a gluten-free vegetable soup, and then of course the famous chicken noodles, the most common.
Maybe for next year you can incorporate a soup off or a super event and to encourage people to make different types of soups and bring it. That would be pretty fun as well.
But that's a great idea.
I really like that. Now, okay, so the event is coming up. Let me just make sure I have all the who, what, where, when,
Okay.
why, how, all of those things. The last Saturday, and it's free to participate. However, if you raise the amount that you said, you can get a beanie.
Yes.
And where can people sign up if they wanted to create a team?
Thank you. So the website is cnoy.com/Hagerstown.
Okay.
Now, if you won't remember that part, you just go to cnoy.com. You'll see locations. So you'll see like the different locations across the United States. So you just go to that /Hagerstown, and it's as simple as I want to create a team. If you want to be inspired, you can kind of look through the other fun team names, and it's that simple to get started. Likewise with sponsors. Those were our first route and our first rest stop sponsors, but we are welcoming sponsors clear up to the event, and walkers can even sign up, or teams can sign up even the day of the event.
Wonderful. And where is the event? You may have already said this.
Oh my goodness.
Is it at the community college?
It is.
Okay,
So
I
it's
thought
at the Arc at HCC. And so we do the same loop as the turkey trot, but apparently we go backwards.
Okay. Because the turkey trot, is that only a mile? Isn't that a 5K?
It's a 5K.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is, you can do 3 laps to do a 5K.
Gotcha.
And so how we have it set up, because you really should have a rest stop and a restroom at every mile. So for our area, we did it at our friends with the Arc at HCC, because the loop is 1 mile, and then people are right back if they want to go inside.
And then they can continue on if they want to or not.
Yes.
I had a question. I want to circle back a little bit to the homeless population in Washington County. Does it seem to be getting higher, getting lower? What are you seeing with the statistics of the homeless population?
Yes. So just like what we're seeing across the United States, we have seen a dramatic increase in homelessness in Washington County. For instance, so we're adult men and women, but we're a part of a continuum of care. There's actually 7 shelters in Washington County. So the rescue mission's adult men, otherwise all the other shelters are for families or women. Mm-hmm. And we are all full or almost full, and there's an increase in homeless families. So our friends at the Washington County Public Schools, they have a liaison and they track that. So there's over 600 homeless school-age children in Washington County right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
How do you deal with someone who comes in who's homeless and needs accommodations and they have a mental illness? Mm-hmm. Is there anybody on staff that can assist with someone who has a mental illness and maybe needs some extra support?
Yes.
Is that something you guys do, or?
So a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So all of our staff have done, our friends at Brook Lane have a phenomenal
Mm-hmm.
course called Mental Health First Aid. So just like if you come across someone bleeding, what would you do until the experts get there? Mm-hmm. So we've all done the training from Mental Health First Aid if you're the first interaction, and it can be with a loved one or a stranger.
Okay.
And what do you need to do to get the experts there? But we do partner with several mental health providers in the community. Most of our staff either have a background in social work or lived experience, mm-hmm. or again, they have that training to help. And then of course, Reach does what we do well, and then we connect you to those in the community that do what they do well. Mm-hmm. So then they'll connect them to whatever as appropriate.
Wow. Thank you, Jeannie, for sharing all this information with us. I think it's really wonderful what you do. I wasn't aware. I knew of Reach and I knew of the event, but to really take a deep dive into it, I feel very inspired.
Okay.
You inspire me as well, and you have
Thank
the
you.
nicest voice.
Aww.
You really should work in radio.
Okay.
So if you ever are looking for a side gig, you just let us know here for
Thank
Shitty
you.
Media. And encourage everybody to check it out. It's the coldest night of the year.
Yes.
Fundraising event the last Saturday in February at HCC 4 to 7. Right, or
Yes.
we're starting
Check-ins at 4.
Okay.
Yep. And then the walk starts at 5.
Perfect, and hopefully we can get some teams together and get you to your goal of 35,000.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. We'll be right back with Let's Talk TriState.
Let's talk TriState.
If you'd like to be featured on an upcoming episode of Let's Talk TriState, call.
I'm Nick Seco from Home Right Windows and Doors, and we're located in Waynesboro, Pennsylvania. So we do vinyl replacement windows, we do steel and fiberglass entry doors, we do aluminum storm doors, and we do sliding patio doors, all made by Provia. The windows are a vinyl replacement window, and it could be anything from double hungs to casements to bay and bow windows and everything in between. So when somebody calls in the office and needs an estimate, they get Roxanne on the phone typically, and she would schedule an appointment for me to come out and take some measurements, provide some literature, go through what options we have, and then I would follow up within about 24 to 48 hours with an estimate with all the details of the products as well as the installed price. I find that we're typically much more affordable than the companies that you see advertising on TV or in a lot of other places. If they're spending a lot of advertising dollars, obviously they're passing those costs on to their consumers. You could go to our website at homerightwaynesboro.com, or you could call us at 717-749-4874.
Local and live, covering Franklin and Washington counties, it's Let's Talk TriState with Tiny and Katie.
Let's talk TriState.
Welcome back to Let's Talk TriState, all powered by Home Right Windows and Doors in Waynesboro, the right choice, voted 2024 Best of the TriState and the Best of the TriState Awards. We are pleased to be joined by Sarah Applegate. She is the Director of Youth Services for the Franklin County Library System. Sarah, thanks for joining us today.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Were your holidays good?
Yes, very busy. I have 2 little ones, so it's always
How old are they?
My daughter is 5. She just turned 5 at Thanksgiving, and my son turned 2 right before Christmas.
Okay, our daughter's 4.
Oh, okay.
And I said, I think this was, so far, the most magical Christmas. Because every Christmas up to this, there hasn't been a lot of real understanding of what's going on. It's just been, there's gifts, and we'll open them, and it leads to toys. But I think this year, the magic of Santa and kind of understanding his role in everything, she really started to grasp on that. But I told my wife, I said, I think, and you can speak to this, I think next year at 5 years is probably going to be the best.
There was a lot of excitement this year. Because, now it all fully sinks in. And once Halloween was over, it was, Christmas is coming.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
My son, because my son's only 2, and he barely opened presents for like 2 minutes. Then he wanted to play with whatever he had gotten. But my daughter just kept opening.
Our daughter, on her first and second Christmas, wanted to just play in the boxes.
Yeah.
I told my wife, I said, "What? We'll just get her boxes next time. That's all she needs." Of course, doesn't go anymore. Now they're going to get fewer and farther between, but but they'll get more expensive because of technology. But it was so great. I love it's all reinvented and reinvigorated in you when you have kids, and it's great that we're talking about this because you are the Director of Youth Services for the Franklin County Library System. So we've had representatives from the Franklin County Library in before, but I want you to take us through your role, your function, what it is that you do on a daily basis to contribute to the wonderful work that the Franklin County Library System does.
Yeah, so I started at Coyle as the teen librarian and interlibrary loans. So I would get books from other libraries that we didn't have in our system for people. And then I've moved up over the last 10 years in the system. So I was the children's librarian at Coyle for a long time, and then I was co-directing, and now I'm the Director of Youth Services for the entire system. Oh, wow. Which is a confusing thing for people. They don't understand exactly what it is. I basically oversee all of the youth staff, in a sense. I assist them, I support them, I bounce ideas off of them for programs, story times, bigger programs, guest entertainment that we get. And I also oversee all of our Beanstack reading challenges. So a lot of people are familiar with summer reading that the libraries do. That's a big thing for kids and families. We do that every summer, and we've also added winter. So we have a Cozy Up with Your Library card, Winter Library Challenge that's currently going. And then we have a spring challenge. Our spring and fall challenges are shorter, just a month. Spring is near and far with your library card. Summer is splash into summer with your library card. And then the fall is fall in love with your library card. So I oversee all of those. You have to wait
all year for the great one, the Fall in Love.
Yeah.
I love a good name of a promotion like we hear in radio and TV, but hearing that, I'm like, yes, Fall in Love. Yes, I love it.
It just fell into place, too, this past fall. We came up with that one. I bounced ideas off of another staff member. So I oversee all of those things. I also help our youth staff get guest entertainment. So we have, coming up in March, we'll have the Reptile Guy again at Basor Library here in Greencastle and at Grove Family Library in Chambersburg. And he's always popular, so I make that connection with him. I set it up. I do all the organizing and scheduling there.
What's the date on that?
Saturday, March 1st.
Okay.
He'll be at Grove at 10 a.m. and then at Basewar at 1 p.m.
Now, the Reptile Guy, for those who are watching or listening who may not know, I get the idea, I think, but take us through that.
There will be snakes, live snakes. He is, Jesse Rothacker is his name. He's on local things sometimes. He's the founder of Forgotten Friend Reptile Sanctuary. Okay. They're in Lancaster, I believe. And he brings lots of reptiles, tortoise, lizards, turtles, and snakes. I feel like one time he had a small alligator, but I could be wrong. I've seen him several times. My daughter is a big fan of snakes, so I've seen him several times. But he always draws in a crowd, so it will be popular, and we do have pre-registration for that.
That's wonderful. Now, you can do all of that at, is it fclspa.org?
Yep, on our calendar. He hasn't been added yet because I just booked him yesterday. But it will be up soon. Wow, so this is the scoop right here today. I love that. We just made the plans, Yeah, that's wonderful. It's going to be our closing for the Winter Library Challenge, which ends in mid-February.
All right, well, so that pretty much takes us through the winter then, right? Then take us, I know you said the spring, you have the name for it, but what exactly does that entail? And I'm sure you'll add events as the season approaches.
So our spring challenge is the month of April. It just started last year, was our rollout year for that one. And it's April 1st to 30th, and it's called Near and Far with Your Library Card. It's all about travel and how your library card can get you places that you didn't originally think it could. We have books about traveling. We have movies about traveling. We have Hoopla, one of our online resources. There's all kinds of things, magazines, audiobooks, music, that you can see and hear music from other countries and videos from other countries. And we have different activities. All of our challenges that we have on Beanstack and at the library are reading-based and activity-based. So reading a certain amount of minutes, usually 1,000 or less.
Right.
And then the activities are, I think for Near and Far, it'll be things like check out a book from another country, watch a movie that originally took place in another country, things like that for travel. And then there'll also be local travel. Get to know a new local restaurant to you.
Love that.
Yes, visit a local park you haven't been to before. And then we also have prizes for those. So we always have incentives and prizes. We have a treasure chest that hits all ages. There's items in there that everybody would like. And they're for reading increments and activity increments. And then we'll have our grand prizes. And then we have ticket drawing prizes that we do. For travel for April, it'll be things like luggage, a suitcase, a bag, Sheets gift cards usually, maybe Wawa, things like that.
I remember this being discussed before. There was some prizes that we didn't even, like, what? Those kind of prizes?
I work really hard to think of prizes and to get feedback on prizes that would hit everyone. So we always have prizes for all ages, from birth to adulthood, that I think would be appealing to anyone, really. Right now, for Cozy Up, some of the prizes are, we have a Spidey and His Amazing Friends prize package.
Okay.
Which you're probably familiar with Spidey.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, my son loves Spin. And we have a prize package for Star Wars, because there are a lot of Star Wars fans out there. And then we have some more basic ones, gift cards. I think we have Sheets usually is there. And then we have some Dining Along 81 packages we're doing. So some restaurants in Shippensburg, some restaurants in Chambersburg, some restaurants in Greencastle, and then some things across Pennsylvania.
When you and I were growing up, when it comes to libraries, I think anyone watching this, because we're streamed on YouTube, it is a certain demographic, and I think it's very close to our group, our demographic. We have a vision of what the library was, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. It is, but I think that it doesn't. I don't think I know it doesn't tell the full picture anymore. You know, when I was in school, I remember the computers in the library, because they renamed it the Library Media Center. They had just come in around my junior year, and of course that was back, the big loud dial-up and all that. You got like 5 minute.
Yeah, you got time.
Yeah, it wasn't what it is today, where it's just ubiquitous. But take us through things that people may not even realize that the library has to offer them.
Oh, sure.
Because it's different than when we were kids.
One of the main things I do need to point out, because so many people don't know, is we are fine free now. So if you return an item late, a book, a movie, whatever, you will not be charged fines for it. If you have books or movies or anything that are overdue by a year, 2 years, bring them back. No fines, no problem.
Okay.
A lot of the things we have now are different. People don't expect us to have. We have, of course, books, like you said, and we have movies, and we have games and things. We have a lot of puzzles, the traditional things that people expect from the library. But we also have been really working on our Library of Things collection. So we have tool sets, we have equipment, we have sewing machines, we have kites, tents, backpacks. We recently got a lot of other baking equipment. So we have cake pans. We have cake pans in very popular shapes for birthday parties. I believe there's a unicorn, there's a Mickey Mouse, there's other characters that would be popular. We have records, like album vinyl records now at Coil Free Library. We have magazines and things.
I have to interrupt here. You're telling me that you have cake pans that folks who are members of the library, who have their library card, can go in and literally borrow a cake pan, go home, bake a cake, wash the dish, and bring it back.
Bring it back. They're not popular yet, but we just got them a little while ago. So
well, my good.
Yeah.
I would imagine again, here we are. This is one of those things where who would ever think that a library would have that? Do you think that is because there's been I don't want to say this. It used to be, oh my goodness, I want to use the internet. I have to go to the library.
Yes.
And then we have the internet on our phones. We have the world at our fingertips. So it's almost like filling in gaps that are no longer, not necessarily needed, but no longer as in demand as they were, here we have this. And here's why I love the idea of the cake pan, as you were saying, because you mentioned a unicorn cake. My daughter loves unicorns.
Right.
What girl 4 years old doesn't? But I'm only going to need that one time.
Exactly. I think it's a lot of that. It's a mix of things. And then you're only going to need that one time. So a lot of people aren't going to buy something like that, but they know that they could use it. And it's something that they come in and they say, oh, I could make a unicorn cake pan for her birthday.
Right.
I didn't think I would. I was going to go buy a cake at the grocery store or get cupcakes made that shape. But no, you can do it.
You also mentioned tools, which speaks to me because I love home improvement projects, things like that. Do you take donations of those items? So, for instance, if let's say I had a giraffe cake pan, would that be something that you could add to the library's collection, and then that could also be up for someone to come get? Or if I have, say, an older drill, it still works, but I upgrade it a little bit, is that something that you'd be interested in?
Typically, yes. We do take a lot of donations of things. I always say call the library you're looking at just in case. We do get a lot of donations of the vinyl records now that we're starting that. We haven't gotten too many cake pans that I'm aware of.
Well, get ready.
But we're always looking. So it's always yes, and we definitely take book donations as well still too. But call the library ahead just to make sure, just to let them know that you're coming or to see if it's something they would take at the time.
How does it work with when it comes to a library card of what we knew when we were growing up versus what it is now? Is it still a physical card, or is it on your phone? How do you guys work that now?
We have multiple options. Okay. You can get a library card online, and you can have it on your phone. We have an app that we have through the library system, which is really handy, and you can check out books on the app even. If you like, when you're in the library, you just scan the barcodes, check out, and you can go. I do it all the time.
I never would have, that would have dawned on me.
It's very handy. We have self-checkouts, too, that you can just scan the books on your way out of the door. But on our app, you can look up books, you can do things like that. We also have a lot of other online resources that you only need to have an online library card for. You can get the online library card, and you're more than welcome. We would love for you to come to the library and get a physical version of that card. But you can also just keep the online one and just do our online resources if you prefer. We have access to all kinds of things through our library card online. Hoopla, like I said, has movies, music, videos, and books and audiobooks. We have Libby, which has not just books and audiobooks and magazines and newspapers now. They've added a new component that's called it's like a version of Masterclass, but not.
Yeah, okay.
I can't remember exactly what it's called. Then we also have Connect Well, which has all kinds of health resources. We have Lope for Kids we just got, which is picture books in over 250 languages, including ASL. We have all kinds of online resources that your card gets you access to. Then at the library, you have the physical items as well, and programs and things that we have.
And I think one of the lesser known, of course, I think it was a bit more known than cake pans, but was the usage of space.
Yes.
And I remember, if Katie were here, she would love to tell this story. She was going for her master's, and this has been about 10 years ago or more, and I would help her with math. And we could have done it here. We were working here at the radio station, but there's something to be said for getting away from a comfortable space, so to speak. So she made a couple phone calls, and over here at the Bay Store Library in Greencastle, they said, sure, you're welcome to come here and use one of our rooms. So we got a very nice room that had a dry erase board and markers. It was, feel free to use, we just asked you obviously clean up, before you leave. And I didn't know, and I told her, so well, how much did they, charge to rent the space? And she said, it's free.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. So I don't think a lot of people realize that if you now obviously they're not massive rooms or banquet halls, as it were, but if you just need a space to get a few people together and maybe go over something, brainstorm, whatever, maybe you have, 10 people in your HOA and you just need a place to be, there you go. The library could be a place for that. The library is one of those, well, let me put it this way. This program, Let's Talk TriState, since its inception back in October, I have found so much about businesses that I didn't know. For instance, I grew up in the south end of Hagerstown, a stone's throw away from the Washington County Museum of Fine Arts. Okay. We had one of their curators here about a month or so ago. I had no idea what all the Museum of Fine Arts has to offer. Not a clue. So, and I'm finding out about businesses that even they exist, and a lot of it's about education. Well, if you don't know something exists, you're not going to go to it. But then this specific interview, finding out things about the businesses themselves that you may not have even known. The library, not necessarily a business, but who would know these things? And I don't mean to sound incredulous about this. It's always baffling to me every time I hear about the library system. There's something else that you offer.
Oh, that's a good point. Not a business, but a big vital part of the community.
Absolutely.
We have, like you said, community spaces that people can use. We do have some larger rooms available as well.
Okay.
Coyle Free Library has a movie theater in the basement that's available for rent as well.
Wow.
And we host all kinds of events that people don't think about. We have birthday parties, baby showers. We've had receptions. Community businesses have used our rooms for training and things like that. It's interviews. Yeah, you're right. The spaces are big. It's big for programs for the libraries, too. It gives us a space to have community members come in for programs that we host as well.
Do you find that usage of the library or any of its components, do you find that you have more in the way of adults, children, teenagers, middle age, older? What do you see when you're going about your usual week?
In my opinion, in my field, I see mostly children families because that's what I'm looking for.
Right.
But we do have every age comes in the door of the library because we have something for everyone.
Right.
That's what we're there to do. Right now, we're definitely high traffic for families and young children. We have so many programs going on currently that were refreshed this year that we've been seeing a lot. We have our 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten program that I just finished revamping this year, which is exactly what it sounds like. We're encouraging children to read 1,000 books before they start kindergarten, which sounds like a lot. Right. It's actually very easy if you're reading 3 or 4 books a night to your child. It's done.
And they're
quick.
Typically very short
and
books,
for my son is 2. We just finished up for him this year because we read to him 10 books a night.
Yeah.
And it's the same. A lot of the time, it's the same book over and over, as you know, and that counts.
Yeah.
So it's that, and then we have our grade 3 at the library. We started this past spring, where we're trying to get a library card for every 3rd grader in Franklin and Fulton counties. Okay. So we saw a lot of 3rd graders at that time. So I see a lot of young ones. That's what I'm looking for. A lot of families. But we also have teens coming in for programs. Blue Ridge Summit Library, they have a strong teen community.
Yeah. Great library.
Yes,
love them up there.
And then we have, Basehor has a good program for teens and little ones too. And then we see adults for all kinds of programs. At Coyle, they have guitar lessons and language classes. Grove has all kinds of programs going on for old adults as well.
So you bring up the classes, and maybe this is kind of the same thing, or maybe talking semantics here, but are there instructional type components to it? Like, I'll give an example, and then there may be an equivalent that you would have to it. Like perhaps a cooking class. Right? So do you have that type of, and there's a reason, so that's question one. So do you have that or things like that?
I would say yes. Okay. We have, if not that exact, we have versions of it, like the cookbook club at Basehor.
Okay.
They do cooking, and
So then the follow-up to that is, what if someone's watching or hearing this that says, well, I have a particular skill. I'm very good at, say, whittling wood or cooking, whatever the case may be. Is it one of those things where you could utilize their services and say, well, if you would like to host a seminar or a class?
Oh, yeah, definitely. We're always looking for community partners, whether it's just a regular person, a patron, or a business or a community organization. We're always looking for partners. We're always looking for ideas for programs. We've had lots of our patrons host or co-host or assist or help or visit the library to share information like that, especially for near and far coming up. If you've traveled somewhere that's really interesting, you'd like to do a little presentation on it, contact your local library. They might have a program for it.
Near and far. So that's what the Franklin County Library has that program. So walk me through that, because Katie's going to be very upset she missed this interview right now, because she loves to travel, and I'm sure she would love to give a presentation about where she's going.
Oh, yes. So our April program coming up, Near and Far with your library card. It will be the Beanstack Challenge, so reading activities, but we also will have programs throughout the month of April that are focused on travel, local, far away, near and far. So we'll have things like that. Each library does something different, and they're still planning, so I can't say what's happening.
Sure.
I do know we'll have some author visits. We're working with Shippensburg University to bring in an author for teens, young adults that will be sharing, and they'll visit Shippensburg, and also in Chambersburg they'll probably be visiting. And then we have a children's author that we're looking at booking as well, Annette Whipple. I can tell her name because I know I have her confirmed. She has a lot of nonfiction books about animals that will be interesting for little ones.
So the date again for Reptile Guy.
Reptile Guy, Saturday, March 1st.
And they're going to be at Coyle and Greencastle later in the afternoon, but earlier will be...
It'll be 10 a.m. Grove in Chambersburg, and then Basehor at 1 p.m. here in Greencastle.
Perfect. We've been talking with Sarah Applegate. She is with the Franklin County Library System, and she is the Director of Youth Services. Our youth are in great hands with you, Sarah. I can tell the passion that you have. And I think, and a pre-registration is going to be open for the Reptile Guy.
Yes.
I think my daughter's going to want it. She loves animals and iguanas and
I'll be there.
all that kind of stuff. I don't know that I will be. You know? No, I'm just kidding. I think that'd be great to see.
You should. You can touch the snake. It's great.
That's fine with me. You know, I don't mind it. If she loves it, I love anything that she loves. Well, thank you for joining us on Let's Talk Tri-State. And we will be right back with more Let's Talk Tri-State.
Let's talk Tri-State.
If you'd like to be featured on an upcoming episode of Let's Talk Tri-State, call 717-597-9200 or email letstalk@921thegoat.com.